I see my daddy and talk to him and everything in my sleep. That's a hell of a feeling.
Did you work with him, like when you were a kid? Did you have to work, on your land or whatever?
Oh, hell yeah. I sit out back there and hoed damn corn and picked up apples and shit. I done everything. Anything you must do around the house. Bust stove wood for a wood cook stove. Put in the house, pull weeds for the damn hogs. I mean, whatever it was, I was there with it. Old man Jewel Boyd, it was in the 5th grade in school. And I should have had been whipped like a damn dog for it, but I wasn't. I still feel sorry about it. But anyway, old man Jewel, he was in the war in some part of Japan. I can't think of where it's at. But anyway, I knowed if all you'd have to do when school was going on was get him to start talking about Japan somewhere or another, and he'd start talking about bombs and all this stuff, and he'd start crying, and stuff like that. And we didn't have to do nothing the damn rest of the day, and I hate I'd done that. But I knowed how to get out of schoolwork. Old man Ed Rathbone, he was very religious, and he'd come there and help Mom and Daddy around the house. And when he'd go eat dinner at the table, he'd sit down right there, and I'd sit over there somewhere behind the table. And he'd bow his head down, and he'd go, pss, 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 like that's what I thought he was doing anyway. But one day after dinner was over, Mommy come in there in the kitchen and go wash the dishes, and I was behind the table, and I was back there playing Ed. I was back there going, pss, pss, pss. And she jerked me out of there and whipped the living shit out of me. She said, "You don't mock a good Lord," and Mommy is very strict about that. And she beat the hell out of me, and I never did preach no more. Up there they're having one of these holiness prayer meetings at this place, and the road went away up here, and the old house was straight down in the hole. You could stand up there and toss a rock down the top of the old chimney made out of mud and rocks, and they was in there hollering and going on however how they do it. And we got a pack of them little old 10-cent firecrackers. We got to hold them some way. There's 3 of us. And I went down to this end and watched to see wasn't nobody looking. This other boy went up there to the other end. And this other boy, he walked around and tossed them down that chimney. And them firecrackers went down and hit that fire. They had a fire in the fireplace. It blowed fire coals all over that house. You talk about breaking up a prayer meeting, it did. If they'd have caught us, they'd have put us in jail. We run off. About my A model, that's how come I've got the A model I've got today. I learned to drive on one just like I own today. My uncle let me learn to drive it when I was just, I guess, 9 years old or something. It was a 31A model, and he let me drive it from out the back of the house out to the main gravel road and then back. And then later on, when he seen I could handle it going out that driveway from my house to the roadway, he let me turn up the main road with it, a gravel road that is. And used to be he'd haul wood in that old A model. He'd take the back seat out and he'd pack wood from the floor to the ceiling, plumb to the front seats. And he'd come off a place called a Purchase on top of Hemp Hill. And them old A models, they got mechanical brakes on them, and the brakes on his was wore out. You could hear the metal scraping metal to metal. But he'd come off right in the old car and he'd cut the switch off, and that'd make it hold back more coming off that mountain. And then one time about the A model, as a revenue officer went up there and they was going to raid the steal on the Purchase, and their car wouldn't go in there, but the old A model would, and they stopped there and asked her to borrow my uncle's A model. She done some quick thinking. She knowed who was making liquor up there, and she didn't want them caught anyway, so she told him, said, "No, you can't borrow the A model." Said, "My husband's gone to work," and said he's got the keys in his pocket, which the keys was never in his pocket. They always hung on a nail in the house, and I knowed where they was. I could get them anytime I wanted them. But she wouldn't let him have that A model.